In the next year, in the past year, about 26,000 AI startups went live. Over 25,000 of them are not going to make it. There will be some fairy tale stories, but if we're honest, most of them are going to be horror stories. These are not real headlines, but this is what I read when I see the current tech news. It looks like history is repeating itself, and we're reliving some aspects of the dot-com bubble. There's a lot of vision and money coming into our industry right now, and it looks like the excitement is causing many companies to put too much weight on their tech and AI branding and too little on their go-to-market strategy. Today, I'm going to show you the best of the worst and show you the lessons that we learned specifically going to launch our own AI product, which is the reason I wanted to see what not to do. So before we dive in, quick context about who we are and what is the product that we're launching. That's going to be our case study for today. Bright Data is the world's largest and most popular web data infrastructure for AI. We deliver data sets and data pipelines for model training, for the models to become meaningfully better, and browsing infrastructure for AI agents to be able to do what they need to be doing on the web at scale without getting blocked. About 20,000 customers, from the largest LLMs to vertical-specific AI apps to agentic AI to traditional companies who are going through some AI transformation and need data to power their AI projects. That's a lot of data. To give you a sense of the scale, we deal with text, image, audio, video data in over 70 languages, and every day we deliver enough data for our customers to train an LLM from scratch. So the product that we're going to launch in a couple of weeks, is called Deep Lookup. Deep Lookup is a deep research AI engine. It's designed to take as input very complex queries and to spit out high-quality results in up to thousands of records of scale. So you can ask it complex questions like, find all the shipping companies that are negatively affected by the reduction in the number of transits throughout the Panama-Suez Canal, and you'll get a high-quality, hopefully accurate answer that you can start immediately working with. So we think it's better than other research tools because of the quality and the accuracy of the results and also the size of the samples that you get, which is a meaningful work tool rather than what you get from other deep research tools, which is kind of feels like a sample. This is actually not our core business. We are an AI infrastructure company. We built this product as a showcase product to show our AI customers how easy it is for us to access the entire public web and get them all the data that they need in scale. But we fell in love with it, and we think a lot of people are going to be happy with it, so we're launching it. And going to the launch, my team and I, we started to look at what not to do and what to avoid in case we want to make sure this doesn't become an expensive mess for us. So here are some of the lessons that we learned from others' mistakes. The first lesson comes from a company called Prisma Labs. They have a mobile app that transforms photos into artistic styles. In November of 22, they introduced a new feature called the Magic Avatars. Magic Avatar is a feature to kind of make people's nice AI-generated portraits. It was a paid feature, and it went completely viral. Right? You probably have seen it at some point on your social media feeds. They had, that year in December, about 19 million installs. A month later, it already dropped to 1.4 million installs. And in June of that year, active users plunged to less than 1 million. So initial revenue numbers were great, but this feature was a one-off experience. Users came into the app, and they created their avatar and never came back. There was no design for ongoing use, no community aspect to it, or a meaningful product feature to get people to continuously use it, what we call continuous usage. So very good example of a good product market fit and viral growth, but very little continuity, which you need to run a successful business. With Deep Lookup, the lesson that we took here is that we needed to understand what would get users to continuously use the tool before their next research, which could take a while, right? So we gave it to a bunch of alpha users. We stood over their shoulders and we asked them to verbalize what's going on in their minds while they were using it, and most importantly, asked them what would be the next step that you would want to run with a tool that you can't do right now. This made us realize that when people do research, they don't always think about all of the data points that they need at the end result. So we built a feature that does just that, right? That adds a column where you can enrich the data even further. In our example, if the answers are companies, then you can add, what's the fleet size? Is it a company? Is it a private or public company? What's the name of the CEO? You name it. So beta users reacted really well to this. It almost doubled the usage time, and retention became really good. So actually, people started using it all the way up to their next research, which is the stickiness that we were going for. And we think it's because it became a tool that you iterate with, and not just a transactional tool. The next lesson comes from a company you may have heard of, BuilderAI. BuilderAI marketed itself as an AI-powered app development software, claiming that its AI assistant, Natasha, automates the complete app software development cycle. The idea was simple. You use the tool, pick a few features, and the AI creates your whole software. Their main message where they went to market is that creating software is as easy as ordering pizza, because everything is AI these days. They raised about $450 million from pretty serious investors like Microsoft and Qatar and SoftBank, with a valuation of about $1.5 billion. It was later discovered that there was very little AI in BuilderAI's tech. And actually, most of the work was done by about 700 human engineers sitting in India. So these engineers wrote most of the code and shipped it as if it was AI. You can imagine a bunch of lawsuits happened and an official investigation, and earlier this year this blew up. And from a $1.5 billion valuation, the company is now in bankruptcy proceedings. So the lesson for us here was that AI washing is a serious thing. At this point in our industry, enough users and investors got burned by it, so there's a built-in suspicion with any company that calls itself currently an AI company. So because for Deep Lookup, the product takes about a few minutes, 5 to 20 minutes to get you the results, we realized we have to address this concern, right? So we decided to market this like skeptics, not like believers, right? Looked at our ICPs, our ideal customer profiles, and asked ourselves, who is the most critical person in the room? That person who's always kind of suspicious, thinking about how he's being manipulated, what's being withheld from him, and we marketed to that guy, right? So this led to product choices, like showing the reasoning of the model while it's working. And for each data point, literally each data point, we have a little option that you can see the reasoning that brought that particular data point back, all the way with the citations of why the model decided to take that decision. So users can actually sanity check their data and maybe get ideas on the next iteration of their research. So we're, as a matter of strategy, trying to be as transparent as possible and to show users what's happening inside of the black box. They seem to appreciate it. The next lesson comes from a company called BoardyAI. BoardyAI is an AI-driven networking assistant helping people create meaningful connections on LinkedIn. Earlier this year, they raised about $8 million seed round, and right after the round, they decided to cut through the noise. Our industry is very dense, and to run a funny, humorous campaigns to get out to the public. So they decided to send unsolicited emails to their user base, style in the voice of Donald Trump. This was around the time of the presidential inauguration in the United States. So these emails that they sent were supposed to be in the voice of Donald Trump, taking comments on people's profiles. The problem is that women got comments on their physical appearances with statements like, "Your mouth commands attention," and "Your eyes sparkle." And men got just standard comments on their professionalism and skills. So users were really bothered by this and said this is sexist and it's reaffirming of bad gender stereotypes. It became really bad online, so the CEO issued a public apology on LinkedIn and even took responsibility, but it seems like the damage was done, especially harmful for a company that's all about connecting people, right? So this tone-deaf tech thing, I get it. The markets are really crowded. Every startup wants to be memorable. They want to have a positive sentiment, to cut through the noise. It's also fun for marketeers to use humor, right? We love copywriting and we love the wittiness. But the statistics show that using humor in go-to-market can be very tricky, and the risk is rarely worth the upside. What seems to be working best across most successful AI product launches is clarity over cleverness. So we did just that. We went for intuitive, straightforward, non-gimmicky messaging. We say clearly what we do without forcing any eccentric personality into this. There could be go-to-markets where humor is a good idea, but it needs to be very carefully examined and executed. The next lesson we learned comes from a company called Humane. So in 2023, Humane launched the AI Pin, a wearable device, $6.99 with a $24 subscription monthly, positioned as a revolutionary device to replace the smartphone. You guys remember that? It had a projector and an AI integration and a camera and all the bells and whistles, and the launch was massive. These guys were everywhere. They did TED Talks. They were even chosen as Times Magazine Best Invention of 2023. Before the launch, though, several employees and early-stage users had many concerns about the product's readiness for market, battery issues, overheating, software bugs. Company dismissed it. There's even reports of a senior engineer that got laid off because he raised the flag that said, guys, this product is not ready for production. But the company went away anyway and launched it in April of 24, and you guessed it, reviews were far from great. People had issues with basically every aspect of the product. One popular tech reviewer even called it the worst product I have ever reviewed. That can't be good. They aim to launch 100,000 units in the first year. They only shipped about 10,000. And in the middle of 24, their product returns exceeded sales. So February of this year, they announced the discontinuation, and they were bought by HP mostly for the patents. In terms of the overpromising and under-delivering, this could have been tricky for us with Deep Lookup because it's really easy to oversell a deep research product. You can basically promise the world, right? And because it's a natural language interface, the users have the option to ask a bunch of questions that the product was not designed to answer. Therefore, they might get a bad experience. So it was important for us to be clear about what this tool can and cannot do. But it's a bad experience to keep telling users, don't use it for this, don't use it for that. So we try to approach it from a positive way. And across the user flow, we're actually giving users examples and inspiration for how they should be using the tool to get the maximum output. Next version will actually have a prompting copilot, which will allow users to iterate on the best query that will ensure that the product can help answer that in a quality way. The next lesson comes from a company called Pear AI. In September 24, these guys launched an AI-powered code editor. This product was a fork of existing open source projects. However, Pear AI released it under a proprietary license and called it the Pear Enterprise License. Reportedly, even that thing they wrote with ChatGPT. This obviously violated the original Apache license terms and immediately pissed off the open source community, which is one of tech's most active and united community. You don't want to piss them off. They got even angrier when they realized that Pear AI only made minimal changes to the code base, which means they basically rebranded other people's work. So the company corrected themselves since then, but the trust was gone, and even Y Combinator that invested in them got a bit of criticism because they didn't figure this out in the due diligence process. And who knows what the future holds for Pear AI. For us, building trust was not about showing that we didn't steal the code. It was about showing that we stand behind what we do. So in the past 2 years, we were sued by both Meta and Twitter for accessing public web data that's on their platforms. Public web data means not behind any login, and anybody with a browser can access. And unlike many other companies that were sued and immediately folded, we decided to stand up for what we believe in, which is that public data should remain public and not be privatized in the hands of some tech conglomerates. Right? These were pretty high-profile cases, which we end up winning. But what mattered the most to our audience is that we stood up for what we all, us and the community, collectively believe in. So doing things ethically and compliantly made sure that we protect ourselves and the users. The next lesson is from a mobile app called Artifact. Anybody ever heard of Artifact? So Artifact was an AI-powered news app, and it launched in early 2023. Because it was founded by Instagram's co-founders, it got a lot of attention from the media, and apparently the Artifact team thought that would be enough. So it seems like the marketing for Artifact relied mostly on the founders' buzz and clout, and there was very minimal effort to build a grassroots movement, early-stage users, the community it needs. Some call this, going for the media only, a top-down approach. But the bottom-up approach of true fans and people that would become ambassadors early on was not there. This app had social elements to it, which means it was crucial for this product to have the people on its side, but they weren't. And just a year later, in January of 24, Artifact announced it's shutting down due to lack of market opportunity and low user engagement. So for Bright Data, we've had really good experience over the years with marketing with our users, putting our users in the front. This means recording tutorials with them, doing cool projects, doing hackathons. We even produced a mini reality show called the Iron Analyst, which was super nerdy and awesome. And we haven't looked back ever since. This type of positive sentiment and grassroots movement that you get from marketing with rather than to is the closest thing you can get to a movement and organic growth. So working like this is actually very easy. One day I told my team, from now on, we're going to create 0% of the content ourselves. Find capable power users that can use the product for their own good, have them create the content, and figure it out from there. And it really was a game changer for us. We actually learned about new use cases that we never thought of, and ways of describing the product that the marketing team hasn't thought of. So all in all, I would really recommend. And the last lesson comes from a company we all know, Duolingo. So Duolingo is a popular platform for learning languages in a gamified way. They recently expanded to other areas like math and chess and music. But it seems like lately Duolingo is doubling down on the concept of AI instead of humans. The company did a not popular, but a very public layoff round of about 10% of its workforce and declared that all of them are going to be replaced with AI. And the CEO went out with a series of statements saying that he thinks that AI is currently better than human teachers, and in the near future, schools are going to become glorified day centers. So this caused quite a lot of backlash on social media, which is the main go-to-market channel and acquisition for Duolingo. Things got bad on social media, so bad that they decided to shut down temporarily their Instagram and TikTok accounts until the storm passed. It looks like they just couldn't handle it. They since put their accounts back on social, but we can imagine what type of damage they got at that time. So I get it. If you're in love with the product and you know very clearly the value proposition, it could be really tempting to talk about all the things and all the hours and maybe the positions that your AI product can replace. And we have history of tech products growing very quickly and eventually replacing people. But while they were growing these tech products that eventually replaced people, they were not saying they're going to replace people. Why? Because it doesn't work. It antagonizes people, it creates rejection and fear instead of curiosity and adoption, which is what you want to go for. So we acknowledge that with deep lookup, some of the users are going to have anxiety that they're going to be replaced, and that's why our narrative is the opposite. Our narrative is that throughout history, humans have always created tools to augment their capabilities, and AI is the latest wave in that evolutionary trend, and they should adopt it. So our messaging is about how to elevate and not how to eliminate, and in initial testing, it looks like that's the message that works much better than attacking people's wasteful existence. So to sum up our time today and our lessons, the difference between hype and traction is not your model's performance. It's your go-to-market. You should give it the appropriate weight and ownership. There is no shame, as you can see, in learning from others' mistakes. If you're soon going to launch an AI product, I wish you good luck and to become a fairy tale story rather than a horror story. Thank you very much.